Hmm. Interesting. Right. Good morning, everybody. I'm not sure if you guys can see me. Yeah. All right. I'm visible. It's just that my vertical camera is not doing anything. It's okay. So today, I'm here to discuss a very important topic. Recently, Google has just announced, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe three, that they're going to turn their search engine into an AI search engine. The AI is taking over Google. Probably it did take over Google, I think, couple of years ago, but now it's official, which is great, right? Now, from my own experience, I want to share why SEO is something very, very important. And it's highly important when it comes to certain businesses, maybe majority of them, but certain businesses should put a lot of weight. Before I tell you whether SEO is dead or not, I will be posting another video. It's for law firms, because that's where we generate results and do a lot of stuff. So I'm going to put it on the other channel. You can actually look at it and watch it if you like. But here I'm just going to talk about, in general sense, why SEO is more than important than before, specifically when it comes to AI search. So first of all, we need to understand what exactly is AI search and how it influences how people are gonna interact with your website, right? So previously, I believe people used to have lots of different pages. They were not really, you know, um, putting effort on their service pages rather than more into informational pages, because there was a funnel type situation where people would get informed by your blog post or maybe your videos or social media, and then from there they would land on your website, navigate through website, and then find that you basically help solve a problem for them, and that's how they would just contact you, right? So this was a pretty simple, back in the day, thing, right? Now, a lot of times people have abused SEO by taking advantage of how Google was, I think, lenient, or perhaps they did not know that people could do it, because, you know, uh, these companies, whether they're based on search engines or some algorithms, they're always reactive. So whenever people start taking advantage of something, they then react, and when they react, people have moved on to something else, and then they react again. So back in the day, they would build a lot of links through either purchasing links from different websites, or from very shady people, right? And then these links are called backlinks, and backlinks are like if some other website mentions your page, so you get a backlink, and it has to be a follow link. So they would just ask. There were different link aggregators, which means they were high-ranking websites where you could just put your links into some other people, like blog people have written, or just pay somebody to generate links for you. And this was a game which is still followed. Uh, I don't I can't deny it. And also, at certain levels, when your website wouldn't rank, so you would pay other people, like news sites, sites with already really good authority in the eyes of Google, and then you could just simply pay to win, right? And still happens. It's not something that doesn't happen. Still happens. In fact, SEO is not free when it comes to leads, because you have to invest a lot of money after a certain level to get published, to be cited somewhere, and that happens, right? But that's a separate issue. What I want to share today is my own journey, right? When I started my marketing and software development firm, actually, I did not give SEO a lot of importance. And the reason is that at that time, I did not have the right skills. And I believe that a team was required for doing your own SEO. Well, technically, if you do not have time, then you do need a team. But it's completely doable for somebody who's just starting afresh, right? So, specifically because my domain was service based business, which means that I was providing services and to some other companies in terms of their marketing and software development, and they would pay me for that. And these sort of businesses have a longer sales cycle. Like, for example, let me just give you an example, right? Suppose you start a plumbing business today, all right? Now, for a plumbing business, you would want people to come on your website and then book or maybe call you from some page like a local directory or something. But before they call you, they want to research on you because sometimes when it comes to businesses like plumbing or maybe even restaurants, for that matter of fact, for construction businesses, for windows and doors and stuff like that, carpentry, stuff like that. So people want to research on you before they pay you anything, right? But if you are a ghost, then nobody's gonna contact you ever, and you're gonna just sit idle for days before somebody gives you a lead. It could be just a referral, right? So for service-based businesses, you need to build that foundation, and there are a couple of ways which you can. And I followed the wrong path initially because I thought everything can be solved through ads. Again, because of the stupid books I was reading at that time, because these books would tell me that usually Google ads or Meta ads or LinkedIn ads would give you a return of investment, right? By 3 times, sometimes 4 times, sometimes 5 times. Well, they don't lie, but that's the half truth because you guys need to understand that when you show your ads to somebody, they don't know your brand. And if they don't know your brand, they have literally zero trust level, right? And for anybody having zero trust level, it's really hard for them to convert as clients because then you have to call them, follow up, and most of the time you'd feel like that maybe they're not even real people. But in reality, they might be real people contacting you, but it's just for getting some information out of you rather than booking you as a service, right? So, the worst advice that people get initially is that if you have a new business, you should immediately start with the ads. Well, that's not gonna work because once people see your ad, they're also gonna visit your social media pages. It could be Instagram, Facebook, depends on your niche, right? LinkedIn, your presence, how even on YouTube, right? They're gonna see if this company is real, who's working here, who owns this company, what kind of services do they give, and if they have reviews or not. Now, this is a chicken and egg problem because for every new business, you don't have initial reviews. You need clients to prove them that you are an excellent person for this particular job, and then you're gonna get reviews. But without reviews, if you run ads, I don't think so. It's gonna be profitable. In fact, you're gonna make big losses, right? So I'll give you a story because that happened to me, and also one of my friends, right? They wanted to run ads initially, and they did run the ads, but before they could get even one client, uh, you know, all the whole budget was wasted basically, and they did not have money to run ads for a long time. And that's because for a new business you're already restrained on cash, and you can't spend, or you can't keep on spending every month. So obviously once you stop ads, it's all gone, right? So they did get a lot of people contacting them, but either they were very um, like they were not qualified enough, they did not have a budget to pay for their services, or they would just ghost them altogether, right? So this was the biggest problem. After burning through ads, you really have no choice, because you have to rely on other different ways, which could be cold outbound, which means messaging people on LinkedIn. It also means that you send DMs on Instagram, you send emails, right? And then you could also just cold call, right? I think for a new business, if you are just starting out and you don't have your in lots and lots of inherited money, then you should completely skip ads, specifically if it's not an e-commerce brand, right? Which is not direct to consumer. So the other ways are much better, because LinkedIn or Instagram DMs, or you could say Facebook groups, they do tend to convert, but you get few clients. It's harder because you have to invest a lot of time in it. But it may be useful for landing initial clients, which might not be very profitable for you, but at least you may get some reviews out of them, which is okay, in my opinion. Then comes cold calling. I think it's the hardest way of reaching to people. One, because the answer rates are extremely low for cold calls. Even if you have a clean number and you're calling like 200 people a day, you might just end up with 30 or 40 people. They're going to pick up the call, first of all. Most of them are going to land in answering machines. And out of those 30 people, it's very, very hard without the right sales skills to convert even one person, right? And it's funny to me because I see a lot of videos where people just show that they have cold called somebody and then they have booked a meeting with them, right? They would never show you the before like booking the meeting and afterwards what's happening there, because after booking the meeting that person is going to probably just ghost them right? So the meeting is not actually booked. A booked meeting means that the person shows up, which is entirely a different thing altogether, and people are going to learn about it once they get into sales and marketing, right? So cold calling is pretty hard, and it's not scalable as well, because there is only a certain amount of time you can do it before you start getting burnt out. And to source good quality lists or numbers are also pretty expensive. It's not easy. Then comes email marketing. Obviously, you can't email from your main domain, because then if it starts landing in spam, because people do click on spam. I do it a lot if people are just randomly emailing me. So you can't do it with your own domain. You have to buy different domains and then mailboxes and then automation software like Snovio, Instantly, and there's so many. I can't even remember, right? But all these softwares would cost you a lot when you want to do it on scale, and it could be around $100 to $200 a month just for using the software. And then there's a cost involved with buying the domains and then maintaining the mailboxes, because you have to dump a lot of mailboxes before you when you scale. And again, you have to get lists, right? So sourcing emails is relatively easier than sourcing phone numbers. And yeah, so that's one issue. Hi Rafe, how are you? Yeah, I just restarted my channel. And yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. So basically, emailing is difficult too, because then when you have to source the emails, you have to go on Apollo. You also need to see there are different, Lucia and other softwares that you could use, but they're not cheap, right? You have to pay for them, and most of the time you'd find out that when you download the list, around 30% of the emails are just dead emails from the same companies, right? They claim it's they have vetted it, but when you check their deliverability, most of them will be either risky or they will be they'll just land on some undeliver, or they will bounce off, right? So you can't use them as well, right? So that's a big issue. So like I said, cold calling, you could just dial numbers from Google Maps, but most of them you just find gatekeepers, and they will never ever let you go through if you don't know the person you want to talk to, right? So that's a big issue. And then emails, it's an expensive thing. It's not that cheap, right? But cheaper than ads. Now it comes to DMs. Everybody is doing it. I think if you do it, it's okay, but it's also, it depends on the chance, right? What is the chance that you're gonna land in somebody's inbox on Instagram or LinkedIn, and they will probably be interested in buying from you? It's a very low chance. Most of people think it's like 1 to 2%, but I believe it's much less than that, right? It's more than like 0.2%. And obviously, it cannot be scaled through automation. And if you try with automations, most of the time you will get your account banned. So you also need to either make a lot of accounts or buy accounts. So it's again not that, I guess, not that cheap as well, right? So the only thing we're left with when you're starting with a business, and that stays in your control, is SEO, right? Now, SEO in today's time is more dependent on the commercial and transactional keywords, which means the intent is for a customer is to buy something from you, right? And if they see your website in first 3, 4, 5 results on the first page, it's more likely that they're going to buy from you, right? So now there are two challenges, right? It depends on what it really depends on, first of all, wait, that's not fair. I always get a call when I'm doing this. Actually, I need to stop this. Just hold on. All right. So, yeah. So, like I was saying about SEO, right? So, yeah. So you can start building your pages, and you could offer services, and make sure you could write. Let's say let's take an example, right? So suppose you want to start a business that helps US HVAC teams or HVAC companies build their estimates, right? So you're in the engineering side, you have the skills to build the drawings and then see the drawings and get them an estimate, which is much cheaper doing it offshore. And you can provide this service, right? Now, you could just list this service as a service page, and then you could make a sitemap which is generated automatically sometimes, right? If you don't know about it, if you're not custom coding or just using Claude to build your website, that's a different story. But if you're doing it, right, just make your website, generate a sitemap, and publish the website with your service page, with your about page, with your home page, and a contact page, right? Initially, you don't need blogs, but you need to strengthen that service page, and then make sure you go to Google Search Console and then verify your domain, and then just ask Google Search Console to index your website, right, on Google. And then the same goes for, once you've done the Search Console on the same ID, you can create another account on Webmaster Tool, which is basically Microsoft search engine, which is basically Bing. It's called Bing. Uh, yes, Rafi, I think you are my student. All right. So you could do that, right? And what you got to do is, once you've done with that, just wait, right? And see which keywords are getting you some impressions, right? Now, once you see those keywords, there will be certain keywords which will be like estimation jobs uh, for HVAC, or estimation jobs near me, something like that, with high intent keywords, right? And then there will be some certain queries like what is the cost to get an estimate from XYZ place or whatever. And then sometimes you would also see a city name like estimation jobs or estimation engineers in, say, Phoenix, Arizona, or Glendale, or Thousand Oaks, or whatever the cities are, right, in the US. So you build those, and now you can build a blog page for what, why, and all these question based queries, right? And you do that because now if people are asking the question, uh, it's a chance that they're going to land on your website. And I'm going to tell you that's one way, but it's getting um, taken over by AI. So we're going to talk about it in a bit. But you should absolutely do that still, right? And then once you have enough impressions and you see that this is the type of queries I'm getting, and then you start building your local service pages, right? Local service pages are like estimation engineers in Phoenix, Arizona, estimation engineers in, say, LA, estimation engineers in Miami, wherever the keywords are coming from, right? So that's a great way to, um, build that local presence, right? Now, here you would see two big issues, right? If you are offshore, um, you wouldn't have a Google business profile, right? Or Google My Business, that a lot of people call, because you don't have a physical address and Google will not verify your profile. But the thing is that if you are somebody who's just local, you could just build the profile. And if you don't have an office, you can build a service area business, which is not that good. But if you have a physical location, that's great, because now you can start optimizing your Google business profile. And then when somebody searches on Map or even on Google, it's a great thing, right? Now, most of the people have, when you're in the digital space, obviously you want to build your websites, like you want to get customers from everywhere. You don't want you to be hyper local, right? Because you're not physically there. So if you don't have a Google business profile, you could just build the local service pages, and then make sure that um, it's more aligned to that locality. So discuss about any nearby landmarks, the language people use, the terms used. The more localized it is, Google will think the content is good, right? And then obviously you could just build more content on it, right? initially, if you don't have money, don't buy expensive tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs. They're helpful in the start, but they're not really helpful, to be honest, right? They won't change your SEO rankings within days. It doesn't work like that, right? But you could start from there. So don't think about building a lot of links initially, but over the time, with helpful content, it will compound, and then you can outreach to other people. If you have written a blog or you see some issue or a blog that you contribute to in a parallel industry, you could definitely do that, right? The real scaling SEO comes when you need to improve the content, because naturally a lot of people are not good writers, right? So they tend to write or get AI to write their website content, and now you need to understand that AI content is mostly wrong. And if it's not wrong, it's mostly very generic, right? So you would eventually need human writers and unique content, and for that you might also want to hire some people, a good writer, and that's when you start getting some clients. But I would highly recommend that you could use some AI, but if you can totally avoid it, it would be good, right? It would be really good. Now, why I don't think that in today's time, blogging would be the best way to get clients, because if you have a unique content and it's in form of listicles basically means that when you compare different, uh, firms in your niche, and then you slyly put your name in the first place. So AI tends to love listicles and tables, and if you've put a different images, it just wants to put it right out there in front in the AI overviews or Claude GPT, whatever. But it doesn't really get a lot of people converted, because if somebody's asking a question, there's a high chance that the AI will answer it, and most people would rely on that knowledge still, which is absurd to me, but it's still there, and they would just bounce off. So instead, you could write blogs so that when somebody who has a high intent, like in the buying mode, they don't feel like they've booked a meeting for nothing or booked your service for nothing, and they see your website has some great information about your services, right? So most of the time, I think in today's time, it's highly essential that you focus on mostly service pages. So in most of the time, people are going to say SEO is dead because you don't get a lot of conversion on your website these days. Uh, in fact, they won't talk about conversion. They'll say the traffic is not there anymore, right? So you don't get a lot of clicks, which is true. But what they don't tell you is that in past days, you would get a lot of clicks, but those clicks would not be converted as clients, right? So it's still the same. People who want to work with a company, they would visit your website. Whether today, in a week's time, or in 14 days, or next month, they will visit your website, right? And it's still the same. AI is not booking your services for you. People are still going to visit your website. That's true. And they will only find you if you're on the first page, right? Or at least second page, which is rare, but that will happen eventually, right? So yeah, so I would still recommend that SEO is going nowhere. In fact, in the video that I'm going to make on my main channel, which is Law Firm ROI with Aves, you could find that on that channel, I will prove that this AI search is the biggest scam Google has pulled, and SEO is still the same, and nothing is really changing, right? And I'll show you Google's own verdict on it. So that's a joke they've pulled on a lot of people. And now there are certain people who are fear mongering that, oh, you need these services because they can optimize your websites for AI. They can do AEO, GEO, these AIO, and they charge exuberant amounts of money, right? So don't fall for that trap. SEO is not going anywhere. It's not dead. It will stay the same. It's just that don't look at the traffic, look at the conversions on your website. If they're not increasing, then SEO is probably you're not doing something right, right? Anyway, that was something I wanted to share with you. And if you like my video, just share, right? If you don't like it, you can also give me a dislike. I at least know that I need to improve, right? So anywhere, anybody who's still wondering what they should do from today, I just say start with your SEO on your own. Right? Don't hire an agency initially. Don't invest in ads unless you have proven that this is the service people want, right? And that could be through your social engagement, from your social channels, YouTube, anywhere you market yourself, right? And once you have that, interest by the people, you can then, start with the ads. Otherwise, you're just gonna waste your money, right? So, and ads are getting really expensive these days. So that's also one thing. So that's my 2 cents, because if you're not starting your SEO today on your website, I don't think so. And you're not getting any clients. So rather than being the weird, cheesy guy sending DMs to 1,000 people every single day, you could still do that, but at least give 50% of time to your SEO, and over the period of time, it would compound. And that's the biggest mistake I made, because if I had started my SEO in the start of 2025, I would have been in a very different place right now. I started my SEO like 2 months ago. My own SEO. I used to do a lot of SEO for other people, right? But I didn't focus on my own. But as I've started it, I know it's gonna take time, and everything which is organic takes time. So good luck to everybody who is starting a business today and next week, or they have already started. I wish you great luck. And if you need my help or some sort of um, consultation from me and whatever my experiences are running 3 businesses now, I could definitely help you, if specifically if you're in my niche. So thank you so much for joining in today. Have a nice day.